I'd now like to quickly talk about folder structure for Scenic Gems. So just coming back out a second. On pCloud Drive, these folders may change as the business moves on, but I'll try and keep that essentially the same as it is here. In the Scenic Gems folder, which is probably a folder that you will come to know that I will be sharing out, in there is the locations for the country that it's in, or broken up by state. So these are the 7 states of Australia, and in here are the actual locations for New South Wales. And each of these locations is a page on Scenic Gems. Now let's say we wanted to make a new location. I have a template folder structure that I find works well, which I would like to maintain. So in the resources folder, I might just click into that so that we can minimize the amount of clutter. I have a brief, which is a basic text document. I'll come back to that in a second. And we have folder structures. So we have image production and resources. So resources is where raw files are placed. So if a photographer is out on the road taking photos, they go into camera files. If a image purchaser or somebody is going onto stock photography websites, photos go into stock. For all video that is generated, that goes into the video folder. So this is where files, creative files, come in. Now once that's happened, it needs to be turned into a page, and that happens via image processing. So from Lightroom, a basic cull from Lightroom, from the camera files folder into raw folder needs to happen. And it will go raw to pre-process to post-process and finally to final files. So I'm in Lightroom now, and what I do, and it would obviously be different for everyone how Lightroom gets used. I actually create color labels on all of the images. So let's say the camera files folder was loaded into Lightroom, and the first step for a photographer, they've got lots and lots of photos, many that are the same, and they just want to select the best one. So this is where I use a color label, and I think if I'm in library, there's my color labels there, and color label that needs to be ticked. So once I've gone through and I've selected all of them in whatever color in red, you can then sort by, let me find it, label color, and that will place all of the red selected images at the top. So it's just a case of selecting the top one, moving down to the bottom one, holding shift, grabbing them all, and right clicking and exporting to DNG. DNG is essentially a raw file. If a photographer isn't unsure between this image and this image, they may make a couple of developments in Lightroom, and they can be kept, and the file can still be maintained as a complete raw file by exporting to DNG. I apologize if you know this already. So once you export to DNG, those files that are marked in red, they will come, or you should point it to the respective locations folder and point it to RAW. And that will output all of the files that in the initial cull. So now we've got a RAW folder, and then once you're done with the export, you could delete the camera files, the images from camera files. You may not even want to, I certainly wouldn't want to put camera files on pCloud and work from it there. This would probably be a local folder, and then once you've exported to RAW, then uploading to pCloud, so that we've got basically a whole lot of images that we can use further down the track. So when I mark these images as green, I tend to be fairly liberal with the images that I keep. I may use this photo with some writing on it, but if I had 5 images that looked basically the same, I would select the best one, or I might have one that's a wide shot and one that's a zoomed in shot. So culling down, but still leaving enough room in the future if we ever need the images in the future. That's the purpose of the RAW folder. From the RAW folder, we then move into actual the brief. So this document here. So what I've got is, this basically is a framework for a Scenic Gem page. So we've got the hero image up the top, then we've got the overview section, which has got 2 medium images, 3 small images, and 2 medium images again. So what does that look like? I have a Scenic Gem page, so here's the title image, and then we've got some copy, then we've got what we call the overview section, so the overview photos. We've got 2 medium images, 3 small images, 2 medium images again. From there, and you can see that I've got the body text where the body text would be. Moving down, we move into our Scenic Gem section of the page. So we start off with a 1360 by 720 image, some body text, 2 medium images, and then, well, we've got a 1093 by 598, so same medium, it's in between a medium and a large image. So what does this look like? I move down, we've got the 1360 by 720 image, body text, 2 medium images, and 1 that's a little bit larger. Body text again. This actual brief, there's another one of these images, and body text again. So it's not always in this format. Most of them comply to just having these images, but for some Scenic Gems we do put additional images in, which is easily enough briefed in by following this schematic. So here's one that I've filled in, and you can see that I've got, for the 1360 by 720 image, we're using this image. There's the title and the subtitle. The overview, we've got which image it is, and then some details that relate to this image. So what does that look like? So we have the hero image, the title, the subtitle. Now the images, if you scroll over them, there's the additional information that needs to be on the image. Now there's one extra piece of information, so you can see that this one here has Credit, Tourism and Events Queensland, this image. So this is an image that we don't own, and we need to put an additional credit on it. You can see one of those here, this image. So there's the credit down the bottom there. So that's essentially how to brief based on the schematic. Now on this page, there would be, there's one image there, 7 images here, that's 8, And then there's generally 4 images per scenic gem, and there's generally about 5 scenic gems on average per page. So you're looking at 28 images on average for a page. Now coming back to Lightroom, these images that I've selected in red, there's a lot more than 28 images. So while I'd like to keep an array of images, if you're a photographer, trying to work and trying to transfer those size folders can be a bit large, a bit cumbersome. So this is what the pre-process folder is for. So the pre-process folder is based on the brief. So for every reference here, once this brief is filled out, these images need to be exported out of the raw folder into the pre-process folder. That way this folder is a lot smaller, and for somebody picking up this folder, and also as a reference to, if it's in this folder, it is used on the website and it's still in its raw form, whereas this one contains all images from the location shoot. From there, once the pre-process folder is picked up and used, mainly for color correction and post-production in Photoshop and Lightroom, Photoshop files get saved in the post-process folder. So in this folder, I've just stopped the video and come over to a location that's already done. So in the post-process folder, I don't name the files. There's no need. It's all visually based in Lightroom. And I generally will export out as a JPEG after Lightroom, and then I work from Lightroom in Photoshop from that JPEG, and I create a PSD from that high-res JPEG. If you work in a different manner, I don't really care. I'm not too fussed about the format of the files, but that's certainly how I work from Lightroom. It's a DNG, but I export it out as a JPEG into the post-process folder. Then I work on that in Photoshop as a PSD and save that file. So if I was to view all these, I could quite easily in Lightroom to just use it as a image viewer. So from the post-process folder, it's then a case of creating a final file where just the JPEGs for the location will be. And finally,